Hi, welcome to Life on the Couch. I am Adam Bagley.
I'm Judy Holly.
And I'm Libby Watson.
And Life on the Couch explores topics related to counseling, mental health, spiritual health, everyday issues, and helpful resources. So, you got an iPad.
Yep.
So stinking jealous of you. Gosh.
I know, you're the one who wanted work.
I even prompted my wife, right? I was like, get me one. What happened?
I got one.
Oh.
We broke down and went for it because I'd use my iPhone so much, and I have loved it. I love the book function.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I read a lot, and it's so nice to just download it real quickly and just page through it. It's so cool.
And I could care less about any of it. I just watch it too.
I'm just like, is it
the
cool?
whole Apple products and all this good
Is
stuff.
it cool or is it just Kool-Aid? Like, I don't know.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, okay?
She's going for it.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
She's going for it.
Yeah.
Well,
There's so much that can be done on it. It's
okay,
just
well,
gonna be so
can you
cool.
record all that stuff and then I'll just play it for my wife and be like, see, look, this is another girl. And she's, look at this. Like, that stuff is so good about it. I just got up today and I was like, you know, Autumn, I really think I'm done with this. And now I'm just like.
Oh, you're never done with it. Any new technology, he's got to have it first.
Yeah.
First off.
Oh, I know. I feel it. It's like iPods,
Why
iPhones,
don't
and
you
MacBooks.
You're
Oh my. Like, I'm just walking around.
Yeah.
I know.
What, was it the first text you sent to me, like the next day, you said, I'm so jealous?
Yeah, I totally did. It totally came out. And I sent it and I was like, I just totally sent that.
And then I came in the next morning, he's like, you're not going to believe it, what Libby got. I was like, oh no, somebody got something before you did. It's going to be ugly around here.
I know. But you did let me use it and mess around with it. I don't know if that was good or bad. though.
Yeah, I even let you download an app, so.
I know, you did. It's cool. Like, yeah, I guess you like you meet me halfway. Or maybe you're just rubbing it in my face.
No, I'm not rubbing it in your
Ah.
face. I know you're getting one
She's
soon,
good at
so it
sharing.
doesn't matter.
So, but anyways. Well, I guess maybe first story. I thought maybe, Judy, you could go first. And
Okay.
we'll start with you.
Yeah, my article kind of came out of something I heard this morning on TV, and it reminded me of something else that happened recently, just talking about how your immune system affects, or stress affects your immune system.
Mm-hmm.
And it really does. There's a lot of research about it, and the article I actually pulled is a New York Times article that talks about, is marriage good for your health? And actually, one of the first guys that ever started looking at research was like 150 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, he had nothing to go on. He didn't know how to do the statistics of it all. But actually, research they're doing now is confirming what he even knew back then. But it's just a great article about talking about people who are happily married. They are less likely to have pneumonia, have surgery, develop cancer, to have heart attacks. And then there's other research studies, one out of Sweden that talks about happily married couples have less chance of dementia. And also there was another study that came out in Norway, I believe, talking about single people have a much higher risk in incidences of heart attacks, even like car accidents, homicides, that sort of thing. So it was kind of a neat article, but what I really got from the article was it talked about they would take couples. There's two researchers out of the Ohio State Medical Center who happen to be married. They were doing research studies on taking couples, taking blood samples from them prior to getting them in the situation. They would have them then talk about a very safe subject, things that almost kind of promoted camaraderie between the two of them, and then do another blood sample. And it was the same, calming effect. Then they would get them in a situation where they'd almost prod them to start arguing. They would, whatever their hot point in their marriage is, then they would take another blood sample. And it was significantly different. They found that there's some white blood cells that they call the natural killer cells that takes care of viruses or whatever, had dropped drastically in their blood samples. And that's where they're getting this from, is that because your immune system is suppressed when you're under a tremendous amount of stress, then all these health issues come up. But was also interesting, their finding is they took samples of couples who have been married for over 35 years, who were in both couple parts of the couple were healthy, no health problems whatsoever. So they observed them for a long time, watched them have interaction, even watched them have arguments. But what they found was they had healthy arguments. They didn't attack each other. They had, even though it may be a little heated, it wasn't the heat is the issue. It's how you speak to your spouse, the words you use.
Respectful or...
Yes, absolutely.
So like no criticism, contempt, stonewalling, like,
all those kind of things.
Withdrawing, not
Yes.
disrespecting someone, those
Yeah.
kind of things.
And so that's what and also what they found was that they, like I said, their health was great. No heart issues, no cholesterol issues. There's all kind of things. Their health was really well. But then they also researched women who were in a very unhealthy marriage, and they're even, not that they're saying you have to stay married. It's like, is it a healthy marriage? And it was talking about those people in those marriages, their health was declining rapidly compared to those that were in healthy marriages. And of course, their first line of defense was learn how to have a healthy marriage. And we do that through counseling. How to learn to communicate, use those good coping skills, good communication skills. And it talked about early intervention is very important if you start having problems.
See, that was the coolest thing. I mean, we talked about this just a little bit before, and you mentioning that early intervention piece and actually bringing people in and if they don't have the tools or the resources to use, you're able to implement some new ways of having that dialogue. I mean, with the article talking about how important communication is.
Yeah.
And being respectful. And,
absolutely. Because, we all talk, I think clients kind of look at you funny when you say, you can fight. And they're kind of like, well, that's why we're here. We're fighting. No, you can fight, but it has to be fair fighting.
Right. And you need to fight. If you don't argue, then there's not two people in a relationship.
If you're both giving in all the time, or you're complacent
that's
about the relationship.
not healthy either.
No.
That's actually withdrawing. And it's actually hard on the other spouse because they're trying to get in the game and the other person's pulling out.
I wonder about that article too. And I don't know, I mean, if they did something like this or not, but I wonder if with that study focused so intently on couples, if they broadened that out and they looked at, these individuals' other areas and maybe how that type of communication may show up in other places, like maybe within work relationships, family relationships.
Well, actually, I had read another article. I was trying to decide which two to bring in today to talk about, and the other one was talking about we all need friends. And it was talking about healthy friendships are vital to your life, to your health. And it was talking about that as well, because people who are depressed or anxious or whatever, they seem to withdraw from other people, which then compiles the problem even more. Then they're missing out on this link of the companionship, having people to talk to, and that actually also that it adds more stress and it depresses their immune system as well. So yeah, I think when you have I think it all feeds off each other. When you have a good marriage relationship and a good communication relationship between the two of you, if you're communicating well there, you must be a good communicator in other ways too.
And another thing too, I mean, I'm thinking about that. I mean, everybody talks about John Gottman and this study and him watching all those couples in his love lab and how they're talking. And thinking about how in this article too, they're really not pointing out, here's all the things that you need to do to have a great relationship. They're saying, here are some things that can be detrimental or they can be damaging to relationships.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's where our piece comes in as counselors, is to help them see, they kind of know what's detrimental. They may not have a real grasp on it, but us to help them find that, and then how can we change that? How can we go in a different direction?
And it's different for every couple.
Absolutely.
I mean, there is no cookie cutter one way, here's a book or here's 5 steps to do to fix things.
Well, and if you're someone who's in an unhealthy relationship, but in a marriage and you're committed to that person and that other person doesn't want to go to counseling, you can also come yourself and you can talk about things that you can do within the arguments yourselves to keep them kind of de-escalated so they don't get that stress level. So counseling helps those people as well, not just married couples, but also people who are married who the spouse will not come to counseling. So that's good too.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, well that leads us to my excerpt is the book How Not to Date a Loser by Georgia Schaefer. Judy and I went to the AACC conference last year and we heard her speak. So
She's a great
she
speaker.
was a really good speaker. But basically we're saying don't date a loser, then you don't marry a loser. Then you don't have these problems.